It takes guts and it takes an enormous heart to become a UFC superstar. Being a UFC fighter requires an immense amount of courage. It takes a special kind of individual to step into the octagon and compete at the highest level of mixed martial arts. Chuck Liddell is a legendary UFC fighter. Throughout his career, Liddell became known for his powerful striking, iron chin, and indomitable spirit. There is one particular fight that stands out as a testament to Liddell's refusal to give up, his third bout against Randy Couture. The fight took place on February 4, 2006 at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. From the opening bell, it was clear that both fighters were determined to leave it all in the cage. Liddell was aggressive, throwing heavy punches and kicks, while Couture looked to take the fight to the ground and use his wrestling skills. In the second round, Couture was able to take Liddell down and control him on the ground. Liddell did his best to defend himself and get back to his feet, but Couture was relentless. As the round came to a close, Liddell looked exhausted and appeared to be on the brink of defeat, but Liddell refused to give up. In the third round, he came out swinging. He landed a series of brutal punches that had Couture in trouble, but Couture was able to survive and take the fight back to the ground. Despite being taken down again, Liddell still refused to give up. He continued to fight off his back. Liddell was finally able to scramble to his feet and land some more punches on Couture. The fight went the distance, and the judges awarded Liddell the unanimous decision victory. Renzo Gracie is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu legend and former UFC fighter who is known for his technical skill, resilience, and fighting spirit. There's one particular fight that shows Gracie's heart: his bout against Pat Miletich at UFC 26. The fight took place on June 9, 2000 in Cedar Rapids. Gracie was making his UFC debut, and he was facing off against Miletich, a veteran fighter and former UFC welterweight champion. The first round of the fight was a back-and-forth affair. Miletich landed some strikes and kept Gracie at bay, but Gracie was able to take the fight to the ground and work his grappling game. However, toward the end of the round, Miletich was able to reverse a takedown attempt by Gracie and land some heavy punches. In the second round, Miletich was able to take Gracie down and control him on the ground. Gracie did his best to defend himself and look for submissions, but Miletich was overwhelming. He landed some heavy strikes and seemed to be close to finishing the fight. Gracie refused to give up. He continued to fight off his back and absorbed a lot of punishment, but he refused to be beaten. With less than a minute left in the round, Gracie was finally able to sweep Miletich and take top position. In the third round, Gracie came out strong. He took Miletich down and worked his grappling game, looking for submissions and ground and pound. The fight went the distance, and the judges awarded Miletich the split decision victory. However, Gracie's performance was nothing short of incredible. He had absorbed a lot of punishment and faced a tough opponent, but he refused to give up. He continued to fight with heart and determination, and he showed the world what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was all about. Nick Diaz has been in many tough fights throughout his career, but one fight stands out: his bout against Takanori Gomi at Pride 33. The fight took place on February 24, 2007 in Las Vegas. Gomi was a highly ranked lightweight fighter and a former Pride lightweight champion, while Diaz was still a rising star in the UFC's welterweight division. In the first round, both fighters landed heavy strikes and looked for takedowns. Gomi was able to land some solid shots and appeared to have the edge, but Diaz was able to weather the storm and keep pushing forward. In the second round, Gomi took Diaz down and controlled him on the ground. He landed some heavy shots and appeared to be close to finishing the fight. However, Diaz refused to give up. He continued to fight off his back, looking for opportunities to sweep or submit Gomi. With less than a minute left in the round, Diaz was finally able to lock in a gogoplata, a rare submission that involves using one's own shin to choke out the opponent. The referee initially missed the submission and allowed the fight to continue into the third round. Diaz was able to take Gomi down and control him on the ground, landing some heavy shots. Gomi was clearly exhausted and appeared to be out of gas. In the end, Diaz was awarded the victory by submission in the second round. It was a stunning upset, as Gomi had been heavily favored going into the fight. Diaz's refusal to give up was a major factor in the victory. Throughout Wanderlei Silva's career, he was involved in many tough fights. The one that stands out was his bout against Mirko Cro Cop at Pride Final Conflict 2006. The fight took place on September 10, 2006 in Japan. Cro Cop was a highly ranked heavyweight fighter and one of the most feared strikers in the sport, while Silva was a former middleweight champion who had moved up to the heavyweight division for the fight. Silva was able to land some solid shots in the first round and appeared to have the edge, but Cro Cop was able to weather the storm and kept coming for Silva. In the second round, Cro Cop caught Silva with a head kick that dropped him to the canvas. Cro Cop followed up with some heavy shots on the ground, and it appeared that the fight was close to being stopped. However, Silva refused to give up. He continued to fight off his back. Despite being in a bad position, Silva continued to fight with incredible heart and determination. He survived the round and came out for the third round, still looking for a way to win the fight. In the third round, Silva landed some heavy shots on Cro Cop, causing him to stumble and fall to the canvas. Silva followed up with a barrage of punches and kicks, and the referee was forced to stop the fight. Silva's refusal to give up was a major factor in the victory. Despite facing a tough opponent and being in a bad position, Silva never stopped fighting. He continued to look for opportunities to win the fights and refused to be beaten. Matt Hughes is one of the most dominant fighters in the history of the sport. His bout against Frank Trigg at UFC 52 took place on April 16, 2005 in Las Vegas. The first round had both fighters looking for openings and trying to control the pace of the fight. Hughes landed some solid shots and appeared to have the upper hand, but Trigg was able to keep pushing, and he kept on taking the fight to Hughes. In the second round, Trigg was able to take Hughes down and mount him, landing some heavy shots in the process. Hughes was in trouble, but he refused to give up. He was able to work his way out of the position and eventually took Trigg down himself. From there, Hughes was able to dominate Trigg on the ground, landing dynamite shots and looking for submissions. Trigg was unable to defend himself, and the referee was forced to stop the fight. The victory was a stunning comeback for Hughes, who had been in trouble earlier in the round. His refusal to give up was a major factor in the victory. Despite being in a crummy position, Hughes never stopped fighting. That's heart and that's guts. In short, that's UFC. We'll catch you in the next video, folks.